sir. I do not think we
Are
are.
we serious?
I do not think we are at all.
Go on.
Thank you for this opportunity, Amerix. Fellow Kenyans of goodwill, I would take a rather different angle. I'm a 26-year-old gentleman and might not know so much about my country in terms of history. I might not know who did what or what goes on where, but one thing I'm certain of is that this system is currently not working for us. It is a very painful reality that we are losing people to not only disease and hunger, but now people are dying in the arms of government. It's a far deeper insult that the government will kill us specifically for asking them to be accountable. When we started this, and the tenor and the spirit behind the hashtag Ruto must go, people look at it and think that we are trying to overthrow the government. I have not once in all the protests I have attended, and I have not missed a single one since we started protesting, I have not once met a young person who wants to overthrow the government and occupy that seat. The government has consistently killed us for being peaceful and asking them to be accountable. There are very, very many atrocities that have happened to the country. Some things which are absolutely unbelievable. Like the fact that when I heard Amerix talk about us being high in the cancer index, I'm thinking just beyond lifestyle. We still have toxic nuclear waste that was dumped in northeastern. And I was wondering, how comes those people who lead a relatively healthy life, where do they have such high cancer prevalence? We have toxic waste, we have minerals, all these other sides. And there's a young person probably who's on this space and they're wondering, I do not have this much information, but I know I have rage and I know I cannot stand for this government in its corrupt nature. I'm here to tell you that it is valid, whatever it is that you're feeling. You do not need to be the most educated for you to understand that we are being churned out of a system that will never assimilate you for work. That if you do not have any connections, and we call them networking, but it is corrupt decisions made by a few individuals, that the wealth disparity in this country is so great, and the people who are part of the elite want to make it look as if you're not hardworking enough. If as a young person you're here and you're listening to the sound of my voice, as we consistently continue to educate ourselves, when that constitution says all sovereign powers belong to the people of Kenya, it is talking about you. Let nobody intimidate you for your lack of knowledge, for you trying to pursue good governance. Because a lot of the people who plunged us into this mess, there are wheeler dealers amongst us who plunged us into this mess, who marketed this president and this current administration, and who currently are trying to piss on our intelligence. I will take a rather different angle because there could be more informed people who will tell you about the fishing basket in the Indian Ocean and how it is a 10 trillion economy that we as Kenyans are not allowed to touch. Despite us knowing that annually, if there's something that can bring the country 10 trillion, we are supposed to pay attention to it. But it is controlled by very few individuals who have stashed their wealth outside. They're given pockets of land in our colonizers' lands, and they take it and they sell our souls. If, as a young person, you're listening and you're wondering what this rage is about, do not listen to anybody who asks you the question, what next? It cannot be that we have marched in vain, that the blood of 50 plus individuals was spilled and shed in vain for the political class to achieve its selfish ambitions and desires. It cannot be that day in, day out, there are people who use these platforms to settle personal scores and try to detract you from our main goal, which is good governance, a country without corruption, and a country where we have accountability, where people are hired through meritocracy. If you're listening to the sound of this voice, let nobody sell you fear. Let nobody teach you how to exercise your democratic right. Because today, the guns were drawn. Today, the president made himself clear that he will no longer listen to us constitutionally. And part of the things that I listened to his subtlety when he was saying that enough is enough, and you've seen the police do it, you've seen them accuse us of violence. They've said that they've received intelligence that goons are planning to infiltrate the movement. What goons and why do they not act on that intelligence as soon as they find it? If as a young person you are confused about this, I am here to assuage you and let you know that your rage is in the right place. Rage on, march on, forge on, because we are being sold. I've been listening to the submissions of the previous speakers, and it breaks my heart to know that we live in such a country. To remind you, young people, that what we have achieved in 2 months is the kind of change the country has been seeking to achieve. Do not let the hijack of the political class of the movement discourage you because we started this. I am here to encourage the young people. We will get information, but for God's sake, if you're listening and you're tired, do not rage on because we've just begun. The tribeless, leaderless, partyless, and most especially fearless trope starts now, because this is the time. Remember, when we were protesting, the president was not this vocal. Today, he said that enough is enough. You've seen another foreign country congratulate a person for their nomination and they've called it a reappointment. I'm asking myself, why would they not do that from personal accounts? How can it be intergovernmental agencies applaud a certain individual in a country for a reappointment before they're even vetted and sworn in? There is something sinister. I will not claim monopoly over knowledge, but I know that our hearts and our rage are in the right place. Please do not allow anybody to sow the seeds of disunity and fear and despair in your hearts. The rage moves on. Exercise your constitutional and democratic right to civil disobedience. We are protesters, not rioters and looters, as some of people are trying to paint us. As a young person, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, rage on, because the people who died, Denzel did not die in vain, Rex did not die in vain, and as if it is not enough, the 12-year-old Shuja Kennedy did not die in vain. Let their blood not have flowed in vain. There are people who left their homes in the morning and never made it back. There are people whose bodies were riddled with bullets. People who will never walk again. They sacrificed their limbs and their emotions and their organs that we may have a better country. For their sake, let their blood not have flown in vain. We cannot take this from a regime that does not want to listen. A regime that claims dialogue, but dialogue is a preserve of the political class. When they want to dialogue with the clergy, they do it in open camera. When they want to dialogue with each other as political class, they do it on our taxpayers' money, sometimes in resorts. But when they want to dialogue with the youth, it is on the point of a gun, at the other end of a baton looking stupid, or we are found in swamps, floating, tortured, dead. If you dare raise your voice, you are abducted and killed. As a young person, I'm urging you to rage on. The older generation that is here with us have supported us consistently. They are giving us information and equipping us. But let us not be detracted from the rage that is going on, because the rage is not a call to disorder. It is not a call to ban our country. It is a call to proper governance. Rage on, march on. And when you say Ruto must go, you know clearly the issues that we are fighting is a lack of meritocracy. We have seen them pride themselves in tokenistic things where they want to appoint first female things, but that is setting us back ways in which we will never be, because we can never take these tokenistic appointments seriously. Rage on, because they are pissing on your intelligence that once they give us a youth, we find that we can trace them as a proxy to a person who's bearing a case. We said dissolve, not reshuffle. He did exactly that and still gave us people who constitutionally should not even be nominated. He might be playing a long game to try and show us that he has assuaged us, because we know the executive has captured the legislature, and he might take the names so that they are rejected at the legislative level for him to pass off as a person of good governance. We declare that we have seen through that ruse. As a young person, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, rage on. Do not accept your future to be sold out by political prostitutes. People who deal with the lives of millions, and I have said time without number, corruption is akin to genocide. When you take money that belongs to young mothers, you are killing millions of generations.
Kaskazini, you can wind up. You can wind up.
As I wind up, as we plan to occupy, as we plan to continue to exercise our democratic rights, as we plan to implement our constitutional rights, do not be coward. I am calling you to unity. There will be a lot of distractions, there will be a lot of detractions and small talk, but the political class unites. Remember that they will use everything they have, which is weapons, money, and the minds that they have at their disposal. Do not let anyone whore with your future. Rage on.
Okay, thank you so much for